Hi everyone, I'm here the Bard. My pronouns are they, them, and welcome to today's video. So today I want to go over my 2022 reading list, and I want to share with you what my top reads were and what my lowest reads were. So let's get into the video. Quality. For me, if a book is a 5-star, it means I want to read that book again. It means that book is the most fantastic book that I cannot stop thinking about. Anything that is under 5 stars, so 4.75, 4.25, 4.0, those books are really good books and I love them, but I'm probably only going to read them once. There was probably something wrong with them that I was like, it's just stopping me from making a 5-star, And I enjoy that on the story graph, I can give them ratings like 3.25, 3.5, 1.25. Being able to add in that extra little bit makes it easier for me to differentiate between books, because there are books that I gave lower than 1-star ratings. I didn't give any book 0 stars because a 1-star read means it was atrocious and like I could not handle it. If it's below 1 star, it was the worst thing that I've read. I didn't give anything a 0 star. 0 stars, I think, are reserved for books that I could not palate, that they are books I DNF'd for whatever reason. So I don't actually have a 0-star rating because those books are considered DNFs and they don't factor into this. I think there were only 3 books that I DNF'd this year, though. Of all of my books, though, let's check out my highest rating and my lowest rating. My highest rating was 5.0. The books that I have in there are Poets for Life, 76 Poets' Response to AIDS, 5.0. Such good poetry. I cried while reading this poetry book. It was so impactful. I learned so much about what happened during the AIDS epidemic. It just was heart-wrenching. The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune, Klune, Klune. The House on the Cerulean Sea, I gave 5 stars because of the characters, the setting, the plot of it. Everything was so good. I have seen other reviews by people who have read this book. There are people out there that will say that it kind of talks about like residential schools in a way, which I guess theoretically it does. And so they didn't like that because it was a white dude talking about residential schools. I don't know if I agree with that statement, but it is something that I've seen people talk about. The other 2 books that I gave 5-star reviews were the Anthropocene Reviewed. I've read 4 times. I'm reading it again right now because it's so good. There's always something new that I learn. There's always something new that I pick up while reading it. It was so good. And then the other one is Turtles All the Way Down, also by John Green. Turtles All the Way Down is a book that when you read it, you really understand what it's like to live with mental health. I recommend this book to so many people. I'm like, if you don't know what Turtles All the Way Down, if you don't know what mental health is like, read Turtles All the Way Down, because it so accurately describes what living with OCD is like. It describes anxious thoughts. It's just so good. 5.0 rating, honestly. So, let's look at all of the books together that made up my 1-star and under reviews. So, the books that I rated 1 star and under were as follows. Manic by Terry Cheney It's a nonfiction memoir psychology book. It's about someone who has bipolar disorder. It's about the author and how they experience bipolar disorder. I didn't like this book because I thought that it was just not how I experienced bipolar disorder. And when I was going into it, I thought it was going to help me understand bipolar disorder better, or I thought it was going to help me connect with my mental health better. But I really just found it to be a book about someone who was using their mental health as an excuse to do awful things or to like be whoever they were. It also was just like very emotionally tolling to read because it described events that I have personally been through in some aspects that were very triggering for me. So that's why it got a 1.0 review. The second book I gave a 1.0 review is called Braille Rainbow by Mike Barnes. The reason I put this book so low is actually for two reasons. The first being that I assumed, based off of the title, that it was going to be a book written in Braille that would then have the seeing translation over top so that you could read it in either reading in Braille or you could read it physically. And because it wasn't that, and it was actually just a book about someone's mental health and like poetry about this person's mental health, I didn't like it that much. And that was why I gave it such a low rating. Now, other books that I have rated very low were a 0.75 for the book called Orgy by Caitlin Greendage. I didn't like this book. I read a short story compilation by Caitlin Greendage, and I liked it a lot better than this specific book, which just kind of didn't have a real plot to it. I didn't like the characters in it, and it honestly seemed like over sexualized, like maybe because I personally am demisexual means that like when I read about people having casual sex, it makes me a little bit like upset. So I didn't like this book. I gave it a 0.75 stars. A book called Run Riot 90 Poems in 90 Days by Ash Winters was another poetry book that I didn't like. I didn't connect with the poetry. I didn't like I just didn't like the poems. I didn't connect to them. I didn't feel emotional about them. It just seemed very bland. And then finally, my lowest rated book is 0.25, The Witch Doesn't Burn in this one. I know so many people love this book, and it's by Amanda Lovelace. I didn't connect with the poems. I thought it was dry. I thought it was boring. It just was not good. I did not like it. So those were my highest and lowest rated books of 2022. Books that I will be reading this year in 2023 include books that I've already started. Two of them were by me, admittedly. I was just checking out to make sure that the story was the updated version and not the old version. It is called Mara and Cath by Isabella Doucette. You can find that anywhere that you read ebooks. The second one, also by me, is The Lost Mage Princess by Isabella Doucette. This is marked at 11% read, but I'm just going to say that I finished it because I mostly was looking at it to make sure, yet again, that it was finished and complete and it didn't have too many errors in it. The other three books that I'm currently reading right now is The Successful Novelist by David Morrell. I'm only 2% into this. View from the Cheapseats Select nonfiction by Neil Gaiman. I love this book. I've read this book before. I already know this is going to be a 5.0 book read for me because I love reading this and I love getting the motivation to write from reading this. I'm 26% through this next book. It is called The Poetry of Strangers, What I Learned Traveling America with a Typewriter by Brian Sonia-Wallace. It's such a good book, honestly. So I already know this is also probably going to be a 5.0 read for me, but it's just so good. I also have The Anthropocene Reviewed by John Green. I think I mentioned it earlier in this video, but I am currently rereading that book because every time I read it, I get something new out of it. I think of different things. I'm reading that one as an audiobook right now because I wanted a different way to experience this book. Other books I know for sure I'm going to read this year are the Solomancer series, Lucian, The Nine Eyes of Lucian, which I don't remember who the authors are of either of those, but I'm really looking forward to them. And then I have Hank Green's books, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, and what was his other book called? Something Remarkable. Hank Green books. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing and A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green will be two books that I also read this year. Honestly, I have a ton of books to read, and I'm so excited to read all of them. If you have any reviews that you'd like to share in the comments of any of the books that I mentioned today, or if you have any books that you think that I should read this year, I'm particularly looking for anything that is reference books or books that are about different topics. I'm looking forward to books that are by different people and their experiences in the world. Super looking forward to everything I read this year. That's everything for me today, though. Thanks for watching. I've been here at the bar. My pronouns are they, them, and